everyone. Okay, so I got a bunch of asks to film my coming out slash realizing I was gay. So I figured, why not? It's kind of a complicated, long story, so this could be a long video, but I'm just going to start from the beginning. I think I knew that I was gay a long time ago. I was raised in a Christian household from a very religious family, so it was never like an option for me to be gay. I never thought that like that's why I was different. Like I always knew I was different. I knew I didn't really care about guys the way that everybody else did, and I knew I focused on my connection with women a lot differently than my connection with men, but I never thought it was what it is. I was never introduced to homosexuality really until I was in school, because all I had ever heard was that I was wrong. So anyway, I got into middle school, and that's when like guys really were introduced to me, like in that way, like in a let's date. And so I dated a lot of guys in middle school, but I was 11 and 12, and it was always just like over by the end of recess. Like we never hung out outside of school. So then you get into high school, and it obviously gets a little bit more serious. I kind of started to realize things were different for me, but I didn't really know how to connect it that way. My friends and I would always go to parties, and they'd always be like, "Kate, who are you gonna hook up with?" And I was just like, I don't know, we'll see, blah, blah, blah. And I would never hook up with anybody. I had like 2 boyfriends in my freshman year of high school. They both lasted less than a month, and I didn't see either of them outside of the hallways of the high school, and it never obviously went beyond like I hung out with one outside of school, and whenever it came close to like anything further than that, I like bolted. I was like not interested at all, and I was like, oh, I'm just young, like I don't know yet. You know, fast forward to probably my sophomore, junior year, I still had not dated anybody, never did anything with anybody, had no interest in anyone. I was just always that girl that like was off limits. So anyway, I was at a car wash for cheerleading, and I heard my friend drop a hint about me being gay. A group of like 8 best friends. So later that day, we went to my one best friend's house, and we were having sleepover there. I was like really close to one of the girls, and I pulled her aside, and I was like, what is everyone talking about? What's going on at the car wash? And she was like, they all think you're gay. What? Me? No. What do you mean? You stare too long. You don't have any interest in guys. Like, I just don't care about guys. Like, it's just, and they're like, okay, whatever. Then fast forward to my senior year, I still hadn't dated anybody. I was cheering at a football game, and 2 girls totally called me out. We were cheering on the field, and 2 girls called me out in the stands and started fake making out with each other, and like pointing at me and being like, lesbian, bawled my eyes out. And I was like, what? Like what? My mom was like, well, are you gay? And I was like, no, I don't know why they're saying that. Lo and behold, I'm gay as shit. I remember looking at myself in the mirror at high school and being like, you do like girls. Then I'd be like, nope, and push it aside very, very quickly. Fast forward after graduation, that summer I went a little crazy, and I was partying a lot. I was trying to like make connection with guys, and I couldn't connect with any guy. I probably tried to talk to like 10 different guys, and I was interested in none of them. So then I worked at this hair salon that a family friend owns. I was introduced to her brother, and he was literally like, ideally for me, anything that I could want in a guy. We started talking, we dated for a year and a half, and throughout our entire relationship, it was terrible. We didn't have a sexual connection. It was fun when we would hang out, but it always just felt like friends. Like, I don't think I realized that until I connected with my first girl. So we dated, and a year and a half goes by, and we broke up a few times, and it was just hard. And I always told myself I will fall in love with him. Like, he is everything that you could want in a guy. So I went to Mexico while we were dating with one of my friends, and I met a girl, and we ended up getting really drunk and kissing. And my whole world stopped. I never felt anything like that before, and it scared the shit out of me. So I remember like going up to my room with my friend and being like, am I gay? Like, what does this mean? I've never felt this before. I've never felt that for somebody. I just met her, and I feel this way. I don't even feel this way about my boyfriend I've been dating a year and a half. So a few hours go by, and the girl finds my Facebook, messages me on Facebook, and it's like, come back down to the beach. We need to talk. Like, okay, well, let's figure this out. I'm a little more sober now. So I go back down to the beach, and we talk, and it's just like an instant connection, and I've never felt anything like that before. And we talked for like hours, and it was just one of the craziest experiences I've ever felt. And I was like, well, I'm sober now, and I still feel this way. Just like, I have a boyfriend at home. So I get her number, and we leave. I'm like, what happens in Mexico stays in Mexico, put it in the back of your head. My boyfriend picks me up from the airport that night, and I instantly just like feel off. Like, I don't want to touch him. I don't feel the same about him. I'm just like, now I know why we haven't worked this far. So, I know why we didn't have an emotional connection. Now I know why we didn't cuddle, hold hands, blah, blah, blah. So I tried to keep it making it work with him for about 2 weeks after. I started to ditch him to FaceTime the girl I was talking to, and I was just like, okay, well, this is a problem. Like, I need to do something about this. I ended up telling him, you're 25. I'm obviously confused. I don't want to drag you along with me. It's not fair to you. He was like, well, you know this means you're gay, right? And I was like, I don't think it means I'm gay. Like, I think it's just this girl. Like, I've never felt this before. Like, so he's like, well, freaked out on me. He was really upset. And so that sucked. I started talking to this girl, and she screwed me over. That summer, I was like, you know what? I don't know what I like. So I just let myself talk to whoever piqued my interest. And it ended up just being girls. And I realized the more I talked to girls, the more I liked girls, and was pretty gay. it hit me. I realized the more I thought about girls in my past that stuck out, that I would try a little harder to be friends with, a little harder to be closer with. I was like, okay, so that obviously I had a crush on them, and I didn't recognize it at the time. In my mind, during the summer, this was last summer, I was like, I'm never coming out of the closet. I can never tell my parents. I don't care who I date. Fast forward, I meet Sarah. A lot of you ask, I met her through one of my other friends who's gay, and she introduced us, and Sarah and I started FaceTiming and talking a lot, and she becomes a big part of my life. She becomes very important. She consumes my mind all the time. I'm talking to her all the time, texting her, and I was like, I can't hide this. We started talking in June. I was like, well, on August 1st, I turned 21, please come to visit me with Danny, who's our friend. And so they did. I was like, okay, well, my brothers are going to be with us, so we can't act like anything because nobody in my family knows. Well, I got drunk, and we made it very obvious we were together, and it kind of freaked my brothers out. The next day after they found out that I was with a girl, my mom had told us she was diagnosed with cancer. So it's kind of just like two bombs exploding in their face at once, if you will. And my one brother doesn't handle and changes very well. So he had like a mental breakdown kind of thing, like an anxiety attack, and told my dad everything about me. And my dad obviously told my mom, and I remember she called me in her room and she's like, are you gay? And I was like, no. She was like, good, because I don't want a dyke. And I was like, okay, well, if that's how that's gonna go. Like, well, you haven't shown signs of ever being gay. Like, you're not gay. I don't want to hear this stuff, blah, blah. I don't know what you're going through, but you're not gay. And I was like, okay, so obviously I can't come out even though I am. Like, I'm just going to deny it. A few days go by, and she asked me again. And she came in my room and sat down. And I was like, no. She's like, okay, well, just want you to know, like, I love you. She was on a lot of medication, so her moods were very... She texted me, and she was like, just know that I love you. And I was like, okay, well, you know, now that I have you for a minute, I just want to tell you, like, yeah, I am gay. I'm dating a girl. That very day, I got kicked out of my house. I wasn't allowed to come home. I was at work all day. I wasn't allowed to come home that night or that weekend. My mom packed up my entire bedroom. She was like, you can come home on Monday at 3 o'clock and come get it all out of my house. I don't want to see you again. Like, you're disgusting. I wish I never had you. Blah, 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 blah. Said a lot of really hurtful things. I've never felt that low and alone and scared in my life. It was terrible. I really can't put into words what it felt like for her to say these things to me. At that moment, it felt very, like, it's not going to get better than this. Thankfully, I had Sarah at my side, and I had my brother let me stay with him, and I had the greatest group of people around me in the entire world. It's very, very nice to know that I had all these best friends supporting me. There wasn't one person at my work who didn't offer me, you know, a bed or a couch to sleep on or whatever I needed. These people were literally offering to me, and I think that with coming out, that's one of the most important things in the world, is just having people, whether it's not family or it is family or it's friends, whatever, who are there to support you. And that's why people are always messaging me, and they're like, my friends, I don't want to come out because I'm afraid of my friends not accepting me. They're not friends. If they don't accept you for who you are, for something that you can't change, then get rid of them. They're not your friends. You deserve so much better. You deserve somebody who accepts you, whether you like giraffes or girls or guys or whatever you choose to like. Like, you deserve someone that, you know, accepts you like that. But anyway, so a few weeks go by, and I go home, and my mom says we can talk about everything. So I came home, and I didn't want to stay at my brother's. I didn't want to take advantage of that. So I was like, I have to go home. So I came home, and my mom pretty much told me, I think what you're doing is disgusting. I think you're sick. I think you should talk to a therapist. If you're going to live here, you're going to pay rent, and you're not going to let any girls in the house, and you're not going to bring that lifestyle in this home at all. That moment, I didn't have any other option. I moved back home. I started paying rent. I'm not allowed to talk about being gay. The day that I was home, we would avoid talking. If I saw her, she would just make little side remarks. So that's pretty much my coming out story. So I didn't really have any choice in the way I came out. It kind of blew up in my face, but it was good at the same time because it happened, and I had to deal with it instead of just keep putting it off. Now I want to talk about, like, being here a year later and what it's like now, and it's not great. I can't lie. I still am not accepted by my parents. My mom still thinks it's disgusting. I'm not allowed to talk about Sarah in front of her, but it's not as bad. We can be in the same room without arguing. Still fight a lot because I'm very open now about who I am, and I'm very proud about who I am, and knowing who I am now and knowing that I'm gay and like it's a part of me, I'm very, very proud of it. And I just want everyone to know that coming out and owning who you are and knowing that it's not something that you can change, we need to, instead of being ashamed of it, work on making it more accepted. The more we hide it, it gives people the right to think it's wrong. You know what I mean? The more we're ashamed of it, why would other people not feel the same way? I take it on as a personal thing for me to, like, especially on Tumblr. I want people to look at my situation like, yeah, it happened really shitty what happened to me when I came out, but like, I'm still here a year later. I have contact with my parents. I'm moving out with my girlfriend who I'm ridiculously in love with, and life kind of sucks sometimes, but there are way better days than there are bad days, and I promise you that it gets better. And if you just focus on your happiness and stop trying to please other people and make them happy, then you'll be happy. I would rather make myself happy than live a lie to make her happy. And I know that probably sounds selfish, But I'm going to be selfish about my own happiness, and you should too. Don't ever forget that there are tons of places and people you can talk to that can support you and have your back. You are loved, and even when you don't feel like it because your mom or dad or cousin or uncle say these terrible things to you, you are loved and you are important, and nothing is wrong with who you are, and don't let anybody ever tell you that. You are you, and I think that's perfect. Don't ever change who you are for anybody else. I just cannot wait till we live in a world where people don't have to come out of the closet. They can just be gay and not have to announce it to anybody. You know what I mean? I don't know. I think that we should all do our best to make that a goal. If you guys have any other questions, obviously feel free to message me on Tumblr and talk to me about it, because I like hearing your stories. I like helping you guys. I don't want you to ever feel like you're alone, because you're not. Okay, this is also something I want to say. There are so many of you who message me saying you feel alone and that you can't come out and that no one's accepting of you or whatever. But it's funny because I get the same message from different people 20 times a day. But you guys can all be there for each other. It's just don't feel that way. Don't feel like you're alone, because there are so many other people in this world who feel the same way you feel. This is my coming out video. Here I am a year later. I got kicked out last year. This year, I'm happy. I'm so happy. And you can be too. And don't be ashamed of who you are. And love yourself and love whoever you want to love. And don't let anybody tell you otherwise. Okay? Okay, I'm done ranting. All right. I love you all. And thank you all for letting me be somebody that you look to for advice, because I feel very, very honored. Okay, this is it.